Welcome to the Real Retirees of New Jersey, powered by Liberty Financial Group and Artemis Wealth Advisors. Randy and Peggy Fisher want to help you retire once and retire right. Get more information at therealretireesofnewjersey.com. They never throw the first punch, but they're always a knockout.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. But most importantly, thanks for listening. This is the Real Retirees of New Jersey podcast with Peggy and Randy Fisher. It's all powered by Liberty Financial Group and Artemis Wealth Advisors. You can get more when you visit therealretireesofnewjersey.com. You can find that and all the information here in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Now, let's get to the show. Randy, Peggy, how y'all doing this weekend?
Doing great, Mark. How are you?
I've got no complaints about yourself. Randy,
Doing
things
great.
well?
Doing good. I'm trying to recover. My youngest turned 17 and he's now driving. So
Milestone moments. Tell me about it.
talk about anxiety.
For you or him?
Both.
How is he good? Like, you can be honest. Is he a good driver?
He's a fast
He
driver.
drives exactly like his mother.
Oh, goodness. So he's a little fast, Mark. He's a little fast.
Little?
Right? He's a lot fast.
Little.
Are blinkers an option or are blinkers used?
No, blinkers are options. That's good. We could do that. But I don't know. The
Things go
speed
by
limit.
as
Yeah.
light speed.
Now, what about the phone situation? Because I
I
know
love it. Because you know what I got, Mark?
What?
Life 360. And what does that
yeah.
tell you on the phone? What is his speed? Where is he going? I know how to find him in 1 second flat.
Could you imagine if they had that stuff when we were kids?
Thank God they didn't. Thank God.
No, it would be, Mark, you said you're going to Drew's house. Why are you out in a field in North Georgia?
Exactly.
None of this makes sense.
Yeah.
But I meant also, but like for him, because I know, and I sound like old man Owens here, but teenagers, they're so locked into their phones all the time. Is he struggling with paying attention to driving and not looking at
No,
his
I
phone?
told him, unfortunately, in our small town here at the beginning of the school year, unfortunately, there was an incident where a 17-year-old had other 17-year-olds in the car, which they weren't allowed. And the 17-year-old went through a stop sign and did happen to kill one of the girls in the car. So that was the first day of school here, and that was at the town right next to our town. So I do remind him, quite frequently, like every minute of the day, about that and say, these are the things. It's just a small, simple thing is like not paying attention to a stop sign and look what can happen,
Amen.
So I'm hoping that's a little reminder for him,
Good. And don't you say you bless him every time he gets in the car?
Yeah, I take holy water and I spray him with holy water every time he leaves to go out of the house to make sure that he's blessed.
17, going to meet his friends, smelling like a combination of Axe body spray and holy water.
I love it.
You can also meet the team when you visit therealretireesofnewjersey.com. So full transparency here on the show. I am here in Atlanta. Obviously, y'all are up in New Jersey. And recently, the storms, the hurricane came through the South pretty bad. You've seen the pictures.
How are you guys doing there?
We're good. It was, so at the time we were down at the beach. It was fall break and we were down at the coast of Georgia, about an hour south of Savannah. We ended up getting 85, 90 mile an hour gust, a lot of debris, power went out. It was a really horrific time. Like, we were fine. Everybody was safe. The town, St. Simon's, that we were in, pretty badly damaged, but no houses were really destroyed. But we took off early. We got to get back home. Like, we can't be here. Then there's no power. There's no cell service. But the scariest part of this was what normally takes us about a 4.5 hour drive. Took over 8 hours to get home.
Yeah.
And we're driving through towns, zero power through middle Georgia. No gas stations, no restaurants, no fast food, no grocery stores. We're literally driving through people's front yards trying to get around the debris. And I'll be honest with you, as we talk about family here, is that as a father and a husband, I was really uncomfortable because I felt like I wasn't prepared to protect my family.
Yeah, you felt helpless, yeah.
I really did. And I know that's what you do. You help people properly prepare and also help people protect themselves. Tell me about that.
Yes, definitely. If there's emergency situations like this, especially or any emergency, we always in our planning tell people to set aside, money, usually 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses when there is, a scary situation, not like a flood or something like that, but really just for anything in general, especially doing with your retirement or with your funds. Just so that you know that you have some kind of something to fall back on if, God forbid, there was some kind of, emergency event.
And again, plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah.
I hate to say it that way. That's the thing that we try to do all the time for our clients, but we're going to be on a more conservative basis. We have people that come in here and they come in and they say, I've had a financial planner for such and such period of time, or I just got together with somebody and they told me that I'm going to be perfectly fine and I don't need any help. And we look over their plan and they're using, percentages like 12%, 14%, 16%, future growth rates. I'm like, where are you coming up with these figures?
Right.
And they're like, this advisor said that this is definitely very modest. Modest? Who's getting a modest 16 to 12 to 16% rate of return? If that's modest, I'd hate to see what they think aggressive would be.
Right.
Right.
On a conservative basis, you build your plan off of a conservative basis, right? But you have to have diversification in the portfolio, and not your entire portfolio is not going to get a 10% rate of return or a 6% rate of return.
Right.
So you have to take things like that into consideration. So, that's the first thing that we can discuss is bringing people back down to reality. Mm-hmm. One of the things we don't do is we don't blow smoke up people's rear ends. Just because you want to hear something, we're not going to sit here and make that concrete. We're not going to sit here and argue with you either. That's not what our intent is to do, is to create fiction. Our creation is, this is reality. That's what we need to create. We need to bring that forward. So I think when people can realize that reality tends to happen, the market doesn't go straight up. It also doesn't go straight down, right? People have to understand their biases. But if we build that in, we can actually foresee some of those unforeseen items. Like you mentioned, you felt helpless moving forward, going from one place to another.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where people feel helpless through their retirement plan or through their income plan or through their survivor need plan or whatever it may be. You just can't feel helpless. You have to kind of think about all the little nuanceable details that could happen. And you can't plan for everything. That's impossible. But if you can plan for most of those things to happen and you can plan them on a very conservative basis, then it's likely that it will happen. And when it, God forbid, it does happen,
right?
And you've already dealt with it from a conservative basis and it actually turns out better, it makes the situation a heck of a lot more palatable.
And we also don't like to put, all eggs in one basket, as you would say.
Right.
So if, God forbid, the market does go down, you're not worrying because you said, oh my God, all my money's in this one, thing. And oh my God, what's going to happen? I just lost, 20%, 30%. We make sure that our clients do not have all eggs in one basket, that they're definitely diversified. So if there is, something that happens in the market, they're in safe places where they're not worrying about their money.
Well, unforeseen items, right? You talked about unforeseen things like that wind kicked up far worse than it was and there was no power and stuff like that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Looking through a financial lens, who thought that Israel was going to basically take out most of Hamas and all the leaders from the Iran regime, right? And then who thought that Iran was going to have enough guts to actually throw whatever it is, 180, 200 ballistic missiles their way? What's next, right? No one thought about those things are going to happen. No one actually thought the United States was going to sit on the sideline either. I'm not going to, get into that political argument here, but all those things are, geopolitical footballs that are out there that actually do affect the market. This past week, we had a topsy-turvy market in the past week. One day you're up 300 points. The next day you're down 400 points. The next day you're up 60. The next day you're down 52. The futures are double digits in the morning, positive. By the afternoon, you're negative by the time 4 o'clock rolls around. So all these things are ever changing. You can't sit here and say that you can predict every one of these things to happen. It's impossible, right? The market is going to be very volatile and unpredictable over the next number of weeks and months heading into the election as well. Who's going to win? Who's not going to win? Is there going to be a streak throughout the House and the presidency? Will there be a split government? Wall Street's taking a lot of those things into consideration, and depends on which way the wind is blowing and what TV station you're listening to or what radio station you're listening to. If you're making investment decisions off of that news, and I call it noise, then you're losing, right? So, that's something that you need to take into consideration, as well as what you need to think about with regards to what you can control and what you can't control. You can certainly control your emotions and use rational decisions in your process and have an investment strategy. Stick to it. Just don't be like the wind where you need to change every day or you think something's drastically going to go wrong because you heard something on the TV.
But Mark, also too, here at Liberty Financial Group, we do insurance. We do insurance for homeowners. We do insurance for auto. We do umbrellas. And when you were saying something about the storm, it made me think too, when I was watching, that another thing we do here with our clients is, not just all the financial side of that, but also the insurance side of it, is to make sure in things that happen like this that we do review with our clients their insurance.
Okay.
We like to go over their coverage limits. Make sure that, God forbid, if your house, the roof did blow off, am I good with my coverage A dwelling stating that, I have enough money if, God forbid, something happens to my home, I'm covered.
Yeah.
Or, you have that umbrella policy. If, God forbid, something happens, you have a swimming pool and the next door neighbor's son, comes in and, God forbid, something happens, you're covered.
Or a 17-year-old driver.
If you have that car insurance, if you have that 17-year-old driver, or if, God forbid, something happens, a car accident, you have enough coverage that will cover you for any kind of storm that there is.
Right.
We always make sure we go over that with our clients as well.
Talk about all the geopolitical noise. How do you take the emotions out of this election, out of the strike, out of the wars? Because people are coming to you worried about, how is this going to affect my bottom line? What are you telling them?
We always take a methodical, mathematical, non-emotional approach to any investment or financial solution. If you stay constant, and that's the thing, we literally have written rules of engagement. I hate to say it that way. It sounds like strategic or crazy, almost militarily. Mm-hmm. You need to be non-emotional. I'll give you a great example. We had a couple conversations over the past couple of weeks where people will come in here, and we try to be absolutely apolitical as possible because, again, we're doing it from a non-emotional standpoint, right? These people that are walking through the doors, whether they're prospective clients or clients, both sides of the equation, they'll sit down at the table after, Peggy gives them cookies and coffee and everything else, and we start having a conversation, and you instantly know what team jersey that they're wearing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Right.
This is where it gets me a little bit confused. And then this is where I kind of come in and I say, listen, if you're going to make your decision based upon your emotions of the candidate in which you believe you think you want to win, that is not an investment choice. It's not an investment strategy.
Right.
That's actually biased stupidity. Now, I hate to say the word stupidity, but ladies and gentlemen, if you're making your investment decisions based off of your political color, then you're making enormous mistakes. And I'll give you two examples how this actually works. Let's say you're a crazy Trumper and you're out there and you love Trump and you think it's the best thing in the universe, and you just pack up on oil and energy and defense and all those type of stocks and everything that's out there. Let's say if he wins, do you think that that's the only thing that's going to make money?
No.
Probably not.
Right.
How about all of the technologies that are happening with green energies and wind and solar and all that? Should we just throw them out the window because that person is a Trumper? No, not really, right? Just the opposite too. Let's say if you're a Kamala Harris Democrat, machine, what particular type of industries or stocks do you think are going to work to your advantage, right? With the same adage of, hey, let's say I'm on the Kamala Harris team, but the Trump team wins. Should you never buy energy? Should you never buy communications? Could you never buy IT, AI, Bitcoin, all that good stuff? No.
That's just throwing a temper tantrum because yours didn't win.
That's
right,
exactly what is happening. You're distorting your decisions based on the emotions of what you have, right? And there are a lot of tendencies out there, and I don't want to get too deep into the woods here, but there are tendency biases that what people literally have, and one of them is anchoring, there's herding, there's loss aversion, there's overconfidence bias, there's recency bias. Let's take recency bias, for example. Okay. Recency bias, we talk to investors and prospective investors about what's happening right now. People think is exactly what's going to continue to happen. Right. So if I drew a chart and it was just an up line, but I put my hand over it and I said, what do you think is going to continue to happen? Most people, 9 out of 10, are going to say the market's going to continue to go up. But if I pulled my hand off the chart and showed them that this was 1999 to 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, and it went down 3 straight years, that is actually what reality happened. Does that mean it's always going to happen like that?
No.
No. But people tend to feel that what just recently happened is going to continue to happen, right? The whole adage of this time is different, there's no difference. History tends to repeat itself over and over again. It just changes names and faces, right? If we go back historically and we look at all the different elections that have actually happened all the way back, if you want to go to 1928, we can actually see a depiction of how the market's going to react, whether a Democrat or a Republican wins. Leading up to the election, there's certain things that are going to happen. You can set your watch to it. And actually, after the election, there's certain things that are going to happen. You can set your clock to it, without a doubt. If you don't have an advisor or a platform in which those people understand history, then you may not actually be able to take advantage of some of those trends that are going to happen. Or if you get caught in the windstorm of it, the tailwind, and you're not in the trends that are happening, you're either left behind or you're losing money because you're not involved in what's particularly going to take place. And I'm not saying we're history buffs, but what we do tend to do is we take a look at all the biases that are available and we try to eliminate them one by one.
If I hear you right, Randy, I mean, let's say you're a huge Trump fan and Kamala wins. Well, she may actually have some ideas that could help the market and
Without a
vice
doubt.
versa.
Yes.
So take your sports team, because that's what politics is. It's sports to a lot of us. Take your flag, pull it out of the ground, and let's put that financial flag in the ground and worry more about that than the election.
Without a doubt. I mean, also, you talk about temper tantrums, this, that, and the next thing. People become depressed after their candidate potentially doesn't win, right?
Yeah. Right.
It doesn't mean that the sky's falling, the world's going to come to an end, ladies and gentlemen. The people who weren't on the Barack Obama side, they're still here. Yeah. Life's still functioning. The world went on. The people who didn't like Trump to get elected, guess what? The world's still here. It's still functioning, right? So all these things are going to continue to happen no matter what type of candidate we have. We're going to continue to move forward. It's a matter of, you hear these knuckleheads that they're going to, pack up their house and move to Canada or Europe or anything else. I don't think anybody's doing those things.
Do it.
Right?
Leave the greatest country in the world. I dare you. Please.
And I certainly don't think anybody who's listening to this radio show is going to get in an airplane and leave because their candidate didn't win. But what you do need to do is survive until tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. And your money has to do the same thing.
We are an independent financial services firm helping individuals create retirement strategies using a variety of financial and insurance products to custom suit their needs and objectives. Investment advisor services offered through Artemis Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Artemis Wealth Advisors is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Randolph A. Fisher, insurance license number 9616074, and Liberty Financial Group, LLC, and Peggy Fisher, national license number 189420003 and 5705833.